Hello and welcome back to Down the Track. In this episode, we'll be reviewing day 2 of the first test match between India and England. And it looked like India's day, and everything turned around in the end of that first session after Rohit Sharma got out. And you could say that rain kind of saved India because they ended the day 125 for 4. It could have been better, it could have been worse. We don't know unless play was played. But there was definitely a change in conditions, and suddenly there's a change in bowling, batting. It was a change in the whole game, actually, the context of the game. And we saw the similar thing for England as well in the first innings. I have with me my co-host Abraziz. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. I'm a little disappointed with the way the day ended for India, but overall, I thought it was a productive day. I thought the first session we saw them. I saw the Indians put in that kind of effort that I found lacking in the past. Especially on a first Test match game where you see them hesitating a little bit. So I really like the way KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma really applied themselves and really continue until the end, where Rohit shouldn't have gotten out to that short ball. He's a better player of the short ball than that. So I thought that the Indians played well, and then just a quick collapse in terms of Rohit. Puji just got a beauty. It's so unfortunate because he just gets such beautiful balls to get out. Usually, you don't see him get out to a very bad ball. I mean, every now and again, probably, but he usually gets out to a very, very lovely ball. And then Virat, first ball, he went chasing. He didn't need to touch that ball. He could have just let it go. It's something about Virat Kohli. It's probably it was in his head about the Jimmy Anderson. There's a lot of talk
When
about.
he was asked that question in the press conference, you know what he
That
said?
was bad. Yeah, he just batted. He just batted for a quick second, didn't he? So
So there's three things I want to say exactly on what you said, just to follow up on what you said. For me, the Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane dismissal was the most, what do you say, upsetting part. If you I wouldn't say if you're a fan especially, or even if you're just watching the game, I think that's it's kind of criminal, like, because you're in the context of the game, of
yeah,
course, because they're 90 for no loss. Yes, it's in your zone, it's your hitting area, but we've seen time and again when you do go for a big shot, whether it's Nathan Lyon in Australia or whether it's Leach in England, whenever Rohit Sharma goes for a big shot, it's a 50-50. He can get out. So I know that's the way he plays and everything, but after doing so much hard work, again, there's a lapse in concentration. Um, he gave the perfect start. Still, you can't blame him for the collapse, but he has to take responsibility. He cannot be getting out like that. You get out to a good ball, no problem. If he got out the way, what's his name got out,
Virat.
Virat Kohli or Pujara, then okay, fine. It's an edge. But you're getting out in swinging conditions. You're getting out to your strength, which is the short ball. That is not acceptable. And Jinke Rahane, either he gets run out or he runs them out. He needs to. You can't be getting run out or out like that in these kind of conditions when it's so hard to
He was
touch
the
the ball.
last over. He just survived. Just survived. Remember the over before where he went for that extra, and then he got the extra runs as well.
Yeah.
He just survived, and then he goes in and does some.
Same thing with
I guess.
Pujara. He got a DRS. He was given out, LBW.
Yeah.
DRS, he survived, and then he pokes it at it.
That's
Okay,
a
fine, it's
hard
good.
one. Pujara got a beauty. I can't
He
blame
got
him.
no, he got an excellent ball. You can't really do anything about that. Like I agree, but when you see that on that end where 2-3 times he's almost out, he's out. When the conditions are like that, then the likes of Rohit Sharma and Rahane can't be getting out like that. And then Virat Kohli, it's Jimmy Anderson, man. Like that's his what do you call it, kryptonite or nemesis or whatever it is. Like it's his weakness. That's his weakness. And Anderson, even when Virat Kohli scored 100 in the last tour, Anderson's bowling, he was dropped in Gully or whatever. So he does get him out quite a bit, and he has to work on it. For the first time, the likes of Harsha Vogle and these guys, the commentators in general, I'm not going to name pick, but a lot of people are not talking about Virat Kohli hasn't scored 100 in a while. He's not been in form. His average is 20. So now the pressure will build on him for sure. It took a bit of time to criticize him because he is Virat Kohli, but now people will come out and say that like this guy needs to score, otherwise he's letting the team down.
Yeah, there is that level of expectancy that you have because of the solid career that he's had over the past 8-10 years. He's just been a batting stalwart for Indian cricket. He's always, every now and again, he'll have a couple of games off, but he'll always come up with a big score, right? And we've seen that lacking a little bit, and I think that he set these kind of very significantly high expectations, so the failures seem a little bit harder to take. But yeah, there will be talks about Virat Kohli. There will be talks about there was questions creeping in about his captaincy. Now, along with the captaincy, there's going to be questions creeping in about his batting as well. So this is going to be the pressure. I know this is going to probably the hardest test that Virat Kohli will go through in terms of how he's had a stalwart career over the past 10 years. But this is probably the hardest time in a phase of his career. To be able to kind of come out of this with flying colors. If he can do that, my respect for him will go up significantly higher. But he's in a position right now where questions will start getting more tricky for him to answer, and he can't get away with what he has been over the past couple of years. You've seen him get a little agitated at press conferences and stuff like that. He's going to have to be very careful with that stuff, because back in the day when he was his bat was talking, so he was allowed to be agitated. Now with the captaincy kind of tricky, being in a tricky position, with his batting lacking form, he hasn't
Hmm.
scored a century in over a year. Of course, there's been pandemic and stuff like that, but all of that aside, there is issues over here. So it's I would love to see how he comes out of this. With that being said, I think the team has done well, and there has to be given a little bit of credit. He has bought these fast bowlers in, he has backed them, and he has made this team somewhat it can be called a Virat Kohli team. So there is no doubt there is some good stuff that he's done, but now he needs to take it to the next level, and it's very critical stage in his career right now.
Yeah, and just before the podcast, I was talking about like we're getting a bit older, we have white hair, this and that. We both should be ashamed of ourselves because 13.4 overs, 7 maidens, 15 runs, 2 wickets, economy of 1.09. 38 or 30, yeah, 38 years old Jamie Anderson.
Yeah,
James
39,
Anderson.
39, man. Jimmy Anderson.
39.
Yeah,
Is it?
he's 39 years old.
He's 11 years older to me and like around 9 to 10 years older to you.
Crazy, it's crazy. I can't believe it. I mean, what a legend that guy is. I love Test cricket because and if you love Test cricket, you love Jimmy Anderson. That's the kind of player he is.
You think
He's given up.
he's set the bar for sportsmen in general? Like I know we don't have as many followers in cricket as in football, but if a 38-year-old is running in like that, like and bowling fast, it causes all sorts of injuries and hamstring, and it requires all sorts of fitness levels, very high fitness levels, because fast bowling, you're running in, steaming in all day. Do you think he's set the bar for fitness levels in sports in general?
I think so. I think he loves the sport that much to be able to do it on and off. And I really love the fact, apart from the fact that he's extremely fit, he's taken up Test cricket as his go-to sport, right? He doesn't really
Yeah.
care about the 100. He could have easily got a big contract in the 100, if he need the money, but he's not going behind that. He's going behind the excellency of Test cricket, of red ball cricket. He could have easily gotten a contract in the 100 for sure. He could have easily prolonged his one-day career if he wanted to back in the day when he was trying. So he's chosen something and he's sticking by it, and hats off to him, respect for that. And more to come for him. I hope I can see him for the next 2 or 3 years, because he is the pinnacle of fast bowling right now for me.
Beauty. The ball he put to Pujara and Kohli, just unbelievable. And these are supposed to be the top two batsmen, let's say in the top five, both of them for sure, right? Right? Like in Test
And
cricket.
the one to Virat, I did say that he could have left it. I still think that he could have
He
left it,
couldn't
but
have, he should have left it. It was
he should
wide.
have, yeah. He should have left it, but it just bounced him. He just took him by
Yeah.
surprise. And I just feel like Virat Kohli was up against it. You see, when he's a little antsy earlier, he went forward way too early, and it just bounced on him. So it was just perfect. If Jimmy thought about that, just hats off, because Virat is that kind of guy. He wants to get off the strike quickly, and he wants to get things going. So if he thought about that and just pulled it a tad bit
Hmm.
shorter, and he was able to bring that bounce, just beautiful to see. And Puji, man, oh, what a ball that was! It swung a good two inches, I want to say, and then took the nick, and good catch by Butler also in the end.
Yeah, and while I search the forecast for tomorrow, what is the game plan? Because now we have Rishabh Pant in. He's batting with Rahul. Rahul, just a word on him. He's been batting wonderfully. I think
Phenomenal.
he's been thrown into the team as an opener. Suddenly, he's like sometimes required as opener, sometimes as a middle order batsman, sometimes a different format, or sometimes he's handed the gloves. But the way he's handled the bowling, he's batted really, really well, and yeah, he looked the part.
I think there's something with the name Rahul in Indian cricket. Rahul Dravid did the same thing. He was handed the gloves. He was middle order,
Yeah.
all sorts of things. And now KL Rahul is going the similar trajectory. So uh, hats off, man. Some of the shots that he played, he was waiting for the loose balls. He was very, very patient. I don't think he had any real false shot per se. There were a few balls that obviously went that he played and missed, but that's the kind of conditions that they are in. But some of the cover drives that he hit, sumptuous, man. A beautiful, beautiful cricketing shots. Very, very patient innings. I would love to see Punt play. play a little bit of a subdued role, because it's a very good chance to make that 250-300 to get
There's
that point.
no chance he's going to do that. Did you see his
Exactly.
first two
Exactly.
shots?
Yeah, exactly. He's not gonna do that. I know for sure, because that's not the kind of player he is. And but I would love, because I feel like he's after him. Yes, we have Jaddu and we have Shardul who can bat a bit, but I just think that this is the last pair that really can take us to that 300 mark, and that's what I'm hoping, that if these guys can click, then they can take us to that 300. Otherwise, it might get a little tricky. So with that being said, Punt comes out, he gets a few of the middle, and he's in that frame of mind that he can just go and score a beautiful century. You never know, but I just hope that for the sake of KL Rahul, who's been beautiful on the other end, uh, Punt can just take it a little bit easy. Yes, he should play his natural game. He shouldn't pull it back way too much, but just a tad bit, just to maybe just a little more patience from him would be beautiful.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think India need at least a 50 to 100 run lead if they want to get into the front foot in this game. The good thing is that they got England all out for all out under 200. If it was like a 220 with the tail wagging and everything, then it would have been kind of not close curtains, but it would have been very difficult for India. But from this position, we say that it's difficult. For me, it's even difficult for them to take the lead, but they still have 6 wickets in hand, right? But we know the tail and everything, so it's down to these two and Jadeja. How can they, and Shardul Thakur as well? The only problem that I have is in these conditions, like any ball can get you. So if Rishabh Pant does play his natural game, he can take your lead to 100, but it could also be that you're trailing by 10. So it really depends on how things pan out. Will England take their catches also, because Pant will give chances, and how does Rahul bat along as well? Those will be the key. I think Rahul is the key. If he can just get some support from the other end, from both Pant and Jadeja, maybe 50-run partnerships each, India will have a good score.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not discount this bowling attack. They time and again, this England batting side has let their team down, and this bowling has come up with the goods to be able to make the batting look not so bad. And again today, Jimmy Anderson was very good. Ollie Robinson has been bowling phenomenally well. Stuart Broad has always been there and thereabouts. Sam Curran also, of course, he's also chipping in with those overs to give the rest to Jimmy and to the other bowlers, of course, when needed. So it's just been very very good to see two very good bowling units against two batting units who've been comparatively poor, to the bowling counterparts.
Yeah, but it'll be a shame because particularly both teams, especially India, had such a good start. So to get a good start, and then think it says a bit about the conditions, but also concentration, technique, and also the Duke ball. We mentioned this before in the World Test Championship that it does swing after the 15-20th over, and that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
India dominated the first session today, and then after that Rohit Sharma wicket, things spiraled down.
I would love to have seen Ishant Sharma in this format as well, because just to see if he could bring in a little bit reverse. But there's enough swing out there also, which we saw Bhumi and Shami use yesterday. We saw Jimmy use it beautifully today. Ollie Robinson's looking very very good as well. So some good bowling to come to tomorrow as well. So it's going to be India has their work cut out for them, because it's very important that they can get that 50-75 run lead. It would be ideal in these kind of circumstances, because that will make or break the game for them. If they get knocked out by, let's say, for 180, then it's a very very open game after that, and it's going to be harder for India to make it. But
It'll be advantage England, yeah.
A 7,500 run lead now, because when the pitch is a little better to bat, and then that's where they'll have that real big advantage going in.
Yeah, no, 100%. So just lastly, is India taking the lead? Yes or no?
Such a hard one. Yes.
You're going. Yes, I'm going. I'm going 10-run lead.
I'm saying India getting 260 tomorrow.
260. That would be for me. I would say that's close to match winning. I wouldn't say it's match winning, but very close. We're just looking at the conditions and the batting of both teams. That's a very very good score. But again, we'll have to see time and again. There's a lot of surprises. It's going to be a close test match, that's for sure. We will, keep you guys up to date. And it looks like the forecast is raining tomorrow as well, but it'll be stop and start like today. So let's see how that goes.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, take care. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Thanks.